Savages. So we're here for an episode of Savages Unscripted, and we are changing history today. Today in the studio, we have our first ever female. Yes. All right. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi. My name is Beatrice, but everyone calls me B.
Does anyone in the group call you Beatrice?
You sometimes call me Beatrice.
I think I'm the only one that calls you Beatrice, huh?
Yeah. Everyone else just calls me B.
What do you prefer?
I like B. People call me Bernice, and it makes me really mad.
Bernice?
Yeah.
Why Bernice?
Because they can't pronounce Beatrice, and it makes me really mad, so I just tell people to call me B.
I mean, I understand if you have like a foreign name or this really difficult... Beatrice?
Yeah.
That's weird.
I couldn't pronounce Ulysses.
How do you say it?
Ulysses? Is that not how you pronounce it?
Ulysses. Yeah, so for the longest time, Beatrice, I've told you this. People have been wanting girl on the show because apparently we don't know shit about relationships, but you're here. Mm-hmm. Welcome to the show.
Hey, everyone.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. Yeah. I actually want to introduce this whole, at least introduce myself by talking about how I met all of you guys. Because I like the story. And I like it's a fun part of my college history, I guess.
Yeah, I love that story.
Do you want me to start, or do you want me to, actually, I will start.
Yeah, so before you share this, I just want to say that I think it's interesting when different people know one story, but different parts of the story. Because I met you later on that night. But I'm going to have you go ahead first, because I met you later on that night.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, it was my sophomore year in college, and my freshman year, I had lived at home. And my dad is super strict, so I basically could not go out for any reason. And I was in a sorority, and sororities have events, mandatory events, and I could barely go to those. So I decided that I wanted to move on campus. So I did. And I was so excited. I couldn't wait. And I moved in really early in the morning because I just wanted to leave home. And mind you, I live 25 minutes away from school. Or lived 25 minutes away from school. So I was really excited my first day that I moved on campus. And later that night, I was thinking, I'm going to have conversations with my new roommates. We're going to have fun. And everyone moves in, and then everybody leaves. So I'm there all by myself.
Hey, guys.
Yeah. In this new place with no one to talk to. And I was like, I don't want to be here by myself. So I mustered up the courage, and I thought I'll just knock on the door right in front of me, introduce myself, and hopefully make some friends. So I knock on the door in front of me, and this guy answers. And this guy is Danny. And, I tell him, I live right across from you. Just want to introduce myself, see if maybe you want to hang out. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, a bunch of our friends are down the hall hanging out. It's like, let me introduce you to them. I was like, oh, cool. So we walked down the hall, and this is Elias and Angel's dorm. And somebody opens the door, and he introduces me, and I see all you guys, a bunch of people there, and everyone looks really nice and really friendly, and then he leaves me there. He literally dropped me off and left. I was like, this bitch.
That's weird if you think about it.
Yeah, I introduced myself like, oh, he's gonna, introduce me to everyone. No, he literally dropped me off like a child and left. I was like, I'm in a room with a bunch of strangers that I don't know. And mind you, I have a little bit of social anxiety. So meeting everyone was definitely a little scary. But it has definitely been worth it.
And it's a big group. And it's a weird group. So I can just imagine.
I'm thankful for that night. I really am. Because, it's been, 4 years later? 5 years?
That was like 5 years ago. That's what's crazy about it.
Yeah. And mind you, Danny's no longer in the picture. But
we talk about that a lot.
Really?
He dropped you off at the doorstep where we would hang out, and we don't talk to Danny anymore. We talk to him every now and then, but...
Yeah, that's how it started. And everyone was just really nice. And everyone's personality was a little bit different, but there was something that everybody had in common. And it's just being really honest and being really weird. And that's just, I think, what everyone can kind of connect with. All of us have a little bit of that weird side.
I think we have one of the most diverse groups I've ever seen. Like, in terms of race, but also in terms of personality. We have Kyle. Kyle's his own thing. And then what's funny is Robin's like the complete opposite of Kyle. She's like a lot calmer.
She calms him down.
Yeah, she is weird. She says she's weird, but in terms of like, if you just meet her, she's calm.
Yeah.
And Elias is this old soul.
This old man.
Everyone in the group is just so different. But I remember I came later that night. I wasn't there when you were dropped off. Because I remember later on that night, I was living with some other people I already knew. And I was getting closer to Edward at the time. I had just met him a few months before, like right before the summer. And he invited me over, and I was like, all right, I'll go over. And there were so many people. And just the same way as you, I was like, oh, there's so many people. So many people I don't even know.
Yeah.
And I sat next to you and Edward, I think like between you guys. And it was just one of those moments, and you're a pretty social person. At least I thought so, because I remember you started talking to me. And I had my guitar for some reason. I remember I had my guitar, and you started asking me about music. And I think I told you that I'd just seen Rise Against. And you were like, oh, I like Rise Against. And that's how we connected. I remember that. But that was so long ago.
Yeah, to really think about how fast or how long ago that was, it's kind of crazy to think about. And I'm still thankful for that day.
Yeah. It was so long ago. Oh my gosh.
So much has happened. So much.
What do you miss about living on campus? We talked a little bit about like campus life and going to college and college life in this podcast.
Freedom. I miss the freedom. Like, okay, so that first year that I lived on campus was probably the best year socially and the worst year academically. Like, I met so many new people, and I had basically almost every single one of my firsts that year, and I don't regret any of it. Like, it was a very, how do I say it? It was an eventful year, and a lot of things happened, but I don't regret it at all. Yeah,
unfortunately it's expensive, but you really can't put a price on that. The people you meet, the experiences you have. Most people, this is our first time away from home.
Yeah.
Making our mark, getting independent. To that point where a lot of us are going to start drinking soon, legally. So there's that too, but there's just so many in this equation. And that's when you really start learning and start realizing like, oh, maybe that person I was at home, that wasn't who I was.
Yeah.
That's always interesting.
I remember the first time I got drunk, it was with like Elias and Angel and them.
So it was that year.
Yeah, it was the first time I got drunk. It was the first time I had sex. It was the first time I smoked weed. It was the first time I failed a class.
So it was just a lot of firsts.
It was a lot. My first panic attack. Like, that was... No, actually, that was not my first panic attack, but it was my first memorable panic attack.
That was the first one away from home.
It was a lot. Oh my god!
No, I feel the same way too. Like, I can't believe we were talking about an hour ago that when I graduated, I moved home. I could not wait to leave. Like, I love my family. I love my parents. You saw like my mom was texting me earlier, but like I was used to that independence and being on my own, do my own thing. And where I didn't have to tell my mom, hey, I'm going here. Hey, I'm going to be out this late. Hey, I'm going to be another hour.
Yeah, I remember like being up at 3 a.m. and be like at some stranger's house at a party and be like, oh yeah, it's just a regular day.
A walk of shame when you're on campus and away from home is different than a walk of shame at your parents' house. The look you're giving me.
No, I was literally, that's never happened, but that's not true.
Okay, so it's me. So it's just me.
No, it's actually not.
So in addition to Beatrice being the first girl on the show, we're also drinking. So this is the first time we drink on the show.
I'm drinking something called Jamaican Me Happy, and I'm pretty happy right now.
Why did you choose that? And I want you to share why you chose that.
I'm the person that is easily bought by packaging. If something is pretty, I will go to it and I will most likely buy it. Every single alcoholic drink that I buy myself is pretty. And they have all been pink.
When Beatrice came over earlier tonight, she saw I was drinking some sparkling water. She's... How do you say it?
LaCroix? Is that how you pronounce it?
So I was drinking LaCroix, and she was like, is that the cranberry one? And you said you've gotten it before.
Yeah, and it tastes like crap.
Because it was pink.
I bought it because it was pink.
She bought it because it was pink, and that's why she bought what she's currently drinking, which is Seagram's, what's it say? Escapes, Jamaican Me Happy.
It's lemon, strawberry, watermelon, and guava flavors. How is that not good?
At least it tastes like it should be, huh?
It first tasted like green Pop Rocks, but now it is just tasting like juice, so it's okay.
Is your rating of it still the same? Or
yeah.
Is it, yeah?
Yeah.
Is that 7?
Maybe a 6.
See, but I think a 7 for a beer is good, because there isn't much you can do with beers in terms of flavor. Mm-hmm. But a 7 for a mixed drink or a fruity drink, it's a little lacking.
Okay, my favorite alcoholic drink, like if you go to a bar, is Sex on a Beach, because it's so fruity and it's so good and you can't taste the alcohol.
What is in it?
I have no idea. It's just really good.
You get it because it looks good?
No, it tastes good. It really does. It's probably like my first like real alcoholic drink.
Oh, really?
Like mixed drink. It's super good.
Uh-huh.
You should try it.
I will. I think the best thing I've had is absinthe. I loved absinthe.
Okay, when I think of absinthe, my mind goes into like this weird witchy aesthetic, and like there's like smoke around. Yes, exactly.
Spooky season, which it is right now.
Yeah, that's what I think of absinthe. Like, I feel like I could have sworn that it was illegal.
It's not sold in a lot of stores. It can't be sold in a lot of stores. Yeah. It's just so strong a liquor. Uh-huh. When we got it, I think I was 21. Oh, in that same dorm. It was in Angel's. It was in Elias's dorm. And we wanted to try absinthe because apparently back in the day, there was something in it that would make you hallucinate. Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Yeah. But whatever it is that made you do that is still in it, but you would need to drink a lot.
Okay.
In order to feel that. So basically to the point where you're going to get alcohol poisoning.
Oh, no.
But it is a really strong drink, so we bought this. And you're supposed to dilute it with, like, sugar cubes.
Oh, really?
And Elias was there, and a few other people. That's when I met Amy. That night.
You met Amy that day?
That night. When we were doing absinthe, this is like, of all days, we were drinking absinthe when I met Amy. Mm-hmm. But, so we're drinking absinthe, one bottle, and I think it was like 6 or 7 of us. All of us were just completely drunk. I was probably the worst. Apparently, I was staring at a wall and I was just sitting there. I don't know. I was probably hallucinating. But it was good. It had a black licorice taste. I'm not saying I like black licorice, but I didn't mind this one. It was actually a really good drink.
I don't think I've ever had black licorice.
You don't need black licorice.
Okay.
It's not... that one's an acquired taste. Yeah.
Okay. I won't try it then.
What is the worst thing you drank?
The worst thing that I've drank?
Shot, mixed drink, beer, anything.
Straight up vodka. Like, I remember the first time and I was like, this burning sensation is not good.
People like this?
Like, no, literally the person that gave it to me, she was drinking it out of a straw. Like, if it was water.
Straight vodka?
Yeah. Yeah, she was drinking it out of a straw. I was like, girl, I don't know how you're doing this right
whoever that is crazy.
Maybe.
Wow. She's like, oh, this tastes like juice.
Probably, but it was, no, I can't handle that just straight. Like, I don't like that burning sensation. That's why I like drinks that taste like juice. Yeah.
Well, when people say, like, you know, girly drinks and they make fun of, like, guys for drinking fruity drinks, like, I like that stuff.
I don't know why they say that. That's so dumb. Like, just really because it tastes good, like, that, come on, you guys. Yeah. Like, it doesn't make it girly because it's made with fruit. It's just... It's a fruity drink and it tastes good. Like, people drink lemonade. Does it make it a girly drink?
Exactly. No. Like, once it gets to alcohol, it has to be gross. It has to be bold and strong. Apparently. But, I'm not even trying to be, like, progressive or feminist or anything, but, like, I love the fruity stuff. I was telling you earlier, I love pineapple drinks.
Yeah, because it tastes good.
Yes, it does. Like, if I'm spending money, especially for alcohol, it's going to be more at a bar, I want to enjoy it.
I had my first Cosmopolitan a couple weeks ago. Maybe, like, 3 or 4 weeks ago.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a cranberry drink. It's made with cranberry juice. Mm-hmm. I don't know what else is in it. But it was really...
There was cranberry. I was having my fruits.
Basically, I had my serving that day. It was really good. I was like, I should try more drinks more often because I'm so used to ordering like margaritas because that's just what I think of. It's like the first drink that pops into my head.
Yeah.
And I'm too scared to try anything else because I'm afraid it's going to taste bad. Like hard liquors, I know people drink whiskey, like straight off like that. And I feel like I could not do that.
I have a story with straight whiskey. I remember once my friend was going to come over. And he lived at home, so he couldn't drink at home. But I was that person that lived on campus, so my friends would come over to my place and we'd drink. And I liked whiskey at the time. Mm. And at the time is a important part of this story. And I liked Jack at the time. And so my friend brought this girl over for some reason. He didn't even tell me. So like he was outside, he was like, "Hey, Jalino, I brought this girl over and I'm talking to her." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, okay." So I brought Jack and we had like some beers, but they were not touching the Jack. And I woke up the next morning. My roommates didn't drink. My other roommates didn't drink. But my friend and this girl did. And I woke up the next morning. And I got the small bottle of Jack. And the bottle was empty. And I told my friend, like, "Hey, dude, we finished this Jack. Like, okay, so that's good. We finished it." And he told me, "Dude, I didn't drink any." And I was like, "Well, how about that girl you brought over?" He's like, "No, she didn't drink any either." And I was like, "Did I drink it?" And he was like, "Dude, you drank it all." And that was the first time I ever threw up.
No way.
So what's funny is, it's kind of gross too. I threw up in my room.
Ooh.
And my friends were lazy and they were just assholes, so nobody cleaned it up. I cleaned it myself the next morning.
Well, why wouldn't you clean it?
So anyways, so I woke up the next morning and I saw someone throw up on my backpack. And I told my friend, like, "Dude, you asshole, you threw my backpack, you didn't clean it." And he was like, "Dude, that wasn't me." And that's when I found out that I drank the bottle of Jack myself. I was like, "No."
You drank the whole thing?
I drank a bottle of Jack by myself.
How are you alive?
I don't remember it, but I don't like Jack anymore. I don't like the smell of it.
Bet.
A while ago, we had a party at Kyle's place before I lived here. And I remember playing Rage Cage. And you've played Rage Cage, right? It's when you're bouncing, you have to bounce it into the cup, the little ping pong ball.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Cups.
Yeah.
And they typically will put like a poison cup in the middle. And that's the one people avoid.
Oh, I didn't know that's what it was called.
So there was a poison cup. And I knew it was whiskey. It was just a half cup of straight whiskey. Not even a shot. It was a half cup. Uh-huh. And I lost. And I saw that it was whiskey. And I promise you, Kyle makes fun of me of this to this point. But once I noticed and I realized that I lost and that half cup of whiskey was mine, I just naturally threw up a little. Like, you know, like a spit of vomit. Like a spit.
Oh my God.
Onto the floor. And they're like, "Are you okay?" I told them, "I'm not drunk. I just realized what I'm going to drink." And my body just... it was
Your
weird.
body remembers, but you don't.
Yeah, and I was friend because we played with a friend of ours. Nobody knows him, so I'm just going to say it. I played with Dayon. Dayon was right beside me. And I told him, like, "Are you sure you want to play this?" "Yeah, I want to play." And I was like, "Okay, well, we're going to be drinking beer." "Yeah, I'll play." He had like 3 or 4 cups lined up. And he was drinking the beer and he didn't like it. And he was like sipping it. He had like 3 or 4 cups lined up. And he told me, "Hector, I can't do this. I'm leaving the game." And I was like, "I can't just put this back into the game.
Yeah.
I brought you into this game." So I was like, "I'm going to have to drink this for you." So we're playing Rage Cage. I have 4 beers lined up. And I know I'm going to lose. And from that moment, I looked at Dan and I was like, "I fucking hate you. You're never played a drinking game again. And you're never definitely standing next to me. But whiskey. I
like the way it looks when people drink it on TV. It makes it look all sophisticated and fun. But like when you drink it, I'm like, maybe not.
Do you remember growing up and seeing like in movies or TV shows, like people smoking and like it looked cool? Mm-hmm. But we're at a point now where it's just not cool.
No, it's not. It's gross.
It smells disgusting.
Yeah. Like people's fingers literally turn yellow because of the nicotine.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's serious. Like, their fingers turn yellow. Or, like, people who live in apartment complexes, they have a lot of issues with it. So, I visited my brothers today, and they live in an apartment complex, and their sliding door was open. I was like, "Is somebody smoking?" And they immediately closed the door, and they said, yeah, their next-door neighbor, their downstairs neighbor, and their upstairs neighbor all smoke.
That's a lot of smoking.
Yeah, so they're basically surrounded by it. And people probably don't know this, but when you live next to people who smoke and like you have your windows or your doors open, all of that sticks to your house. Mm-hmm. All of the nicotine really does stick into your house, and that's why like secondhand smoke is so bad for you because you're just surrounded by it. It's disgusting.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is that why your fingers are yellow right now?
I think you're just drunk then.
I'm just kidding. I'm not colorblind. I remember once I had an anatomy class in high school, and we were learning about the eye and how you see different colors. And we had just for fun, we had like an eye color test. And my teacher was telling us like, oh, you know, like I think we were covering one eye and we're trying to see what colors we see. And it was for fun to test if you're colorblind to certain colors. But she didn't expect anyone to actually be colorblind. And we realized in the class that there was one girl that did not know. She could not see, I think it was red and green beside each other. I think it was red and green was one of the two main dominant colors.
Yeah.
When they're next to each other, like right beside each other, she cannot notice one of them. I'm not sure if it was green or red. But she did not know her whole life until senior year of high school in this anatomy class.
She was colorblind?
Yeah.
How do you live your life like that?
That's crazy. I guess just those two colors together. And also, like, it's what you've lived with so long. I guess you just don't know.
Whenever I see videos of things like that, like especially, I don't know if you've seen them, but I guess they've invented glasses where colorblind people can put them on and they can see color.
I didn't know about that.
Well, they exist, and apparently they're really expensive. And I saw a video where like a group of friends had a friend who was colorblind, and they all pitched in to get him these glasses, and they watched his reaction when they put them on. And it makes me cry because these people literally cry when they put them on because they don't know what they've been missing out their entire lives. And it's something so simple as color that makes them so emotional. It's crazy.
What's crazy is we take that for granted.
Yeah, something so simple as that.
Just imagine seeing, like, not seeing something the way it is. Let's just say not seeing green. And one day you're in just a beautiful field, like trees and stuff, and you can see that, like, just the emotional, just wow, it's crazy.
Yeah, like, I've always wanted to go to Washington because it's supposed to be, they call it, I think, like, the Emerald State.
I want to go.
Yeah, and imagine visiting a place like that and not being able to see the natural beauty that's there.
Would you rather be completely blind or completely deaf? Both tough.
That's hard.
That's the tough one.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe I'd rather be deaf, to be honest.
Elaborate.
So I've always wanted to travel. Yeah, I think everybody wants to travel.
True.
And you can still do that if you're deaf. Like, you can enjoy that luxury of traveling. You know, if you're blind, I don't think it would make a difference if you went to the actual location because you can't physically see it.
So you want to enjoy things visually.
Yeah. Like, if I was, like, let's say you're married and you're with your person, it would suck that you can't see them anymore. If you can't hear them, okay, but you can physically see that they're in front of you and they're just still interacting with you and you can still communicate, you know?
This just became a really sad podcast.
I mean, we can talk about something different.
No, I like that. I'm actually the opposite.
Really?
I think I'd rather be blind. And I think you'd understand why.
Yeah.
Just how important music is to me. And now podcasting too. Like, to me, auditorily, like, that's really important to me. I'm always listening to music. As soon as I wake up, I start playing music. I'm in the restroom. I'm brushing my teeth. I have my headphones in. Or like you saw earlier, you know, we're drinking, we're talking. I have music in the background.
Yeah.
Like, I always have music on. And music is so important to me. I don't know how I'd be able to live without music. And like you were saying, like, imagine being married to somebody and not being able to see their face. Just imagine not being able to hear their voice. This person that just has... Because I think there's times where you can hear, like, I don't know, your mother's voice or someone that's really sweet to you. And just that voice makes you smile. If you're deaf, you can't hear that.
No.
So they both have, their cons.
Yeah.
Neither is a right decision here. But, yeah, it's crazy.
This made me sad.
It became a very, very deep podcast.
So I'm on Tinder.
You're on Tinder.
I'm on Tinder. And I'm on Bumble.
Ooh.
And it's been very entertaining.
How so?
So, matching up with people is, like, really exciting. But having conversations with these people is really boring. And it's like, how do you have a conversation with someone when all you say is, hey? Like, bitch, really? Like,
yeah.
Come on. Like, that's not entertaining at all. Is that a fly? No.
Damn fly. You just exposed our podcast. We have flies in the studio, people.
Gotta keep...
Yeah, I know. We haven't cleaned in a few days. But, I've been meaning... That's an interesting topic. I've been thinking of Tinder lately. Not for that. I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to use it. But I was telling, I think it was Robin the other day. Recently, a lot of my friends have started using Tinder. A lot of my close friends, they've been using it. And they want me to use it. Especially because of the fact that, you know, I talk to a lot of people. I'm a friendly and social person. For some reason, they're curious about how I'd be on Tinder. My friends were telling me, like, we're curious about how good you'd be on Tinder.
I can imagine.
But I'm not saying online dating is bad. It's just not me.
No, of course. Yeah. Like, it's obviously different. You know, when you meet someone in person, you can, if you sense a spark, like, you know, like, you're physically attracted to that person and you have a conversation and there's flirting and, like, it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
But being online, it's almost a hassle because you're having to give out twice the effort because someone decides to be lazy or someone just doesn't care.
Yeah.
And at least on Tinder, like, so on Tinder, you can swipe left or right for forever. It lasts for so long. But once, I guess when you match and you start a conversation with someone, it dies so fast and it's so irritating. And some of these guys are just not interesting.
Isn't Tinder a hookup app technically?
Is it? Is that what it's used for?
Okay, so the reason I'm bringing this up is because, so I have this friend.
Okay.
I'm not going to, you don't know her. I want her on the podcast, but she started using Tinder for the sole purpose of she wants to practice socializing. That's the only reason. She told me she does not want to meet these guys in person. She just wants to practice the socializing aspect of it. And one day, she would call me, like, every other night, just annoyed. Just like you. Like, these guys are either entertaining or they're assholes. Or it's obvious they just want to fuck. And she was telling me all this. And I told her, like, well, you're trying to practice socializing in an app you think is for dating, but it's for hooking up. These guys want to hook up. They're not there to socialize. I understand, like, what she's trying to do. But I think she could have done that better in a different...
Yeah.
Something else.
She should do Bumble then.
Yeah.
Because...
Is that what it is? Is that... more for dating?
Yeah, Bumble is a little different because you have to make the girl has to make the first move.
Oh, that changes everything.
Yeah, so once you match with somebody, the girl has 24 hours to put in a response. And then, you know, depending whether the guy's going to respond to you or not. That's how it works. And I've noticed that between Tinder and Bumble, Bumble has more of a filter because it tells you what the person is looking for. Like, it'll literally say if the person wants something casual or they want a relationship. Girls only have 24 hours to respond to the guy, and after the 24 hours is gone, they become inactive and you can't contact them anymore unless you have, like, purchase Bumble's little extra points or whatever. It's they want you to buy stuff, and that's how they get money, obviously. But yeah, it has more of a filter than Tinder does. Oh, but here's the thing about it. So a lot of these guys post pictures of them, like, covering their faces.
Like, why do that?
Exactly. Like, how am I supposed to see if you're covering your face? And I always don't pick people who are either, like, drinking in their pictures, they're smoking in their pictures, they're shooting guns in their pictures, or the guys that are they look super arrogant because they have no shirt on and, like, they're super ripped and they're just flexing. I was like, ugh.
It's like their selfie looks like they tried too hard, basically.
Yeah, I'm like, you just look like a douchebag. Like,
yeah. Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
So that friend I told you about that was using Tinder. One thing she said is there was a lot of guys that pose with dogs. Is that very common on Bumble?
Oh, like
as a tactic, like, to, you know, because, you know, a cute dog, you know, like, oh, a dog.
Yeah, I see the dogs, but not enough that, like, it changes. My
friend was like, oh, the dog, I want to meet the dog, I want to pet the dog. Yeah, no, she was like that. And I remember once we were on the phone and she was telling me, like, this guy, like, he doesn't look cute or anything. He doesn't seem very interesting, but the dog is super cute. And I was like, are you really going to choose? Are you considering this guy because of the dog? You're not on the dating site for the dog. Like, I understand the dog is cute, but that's not what you're doing.
That would be such a good business idea to meet the dog.
Like a dog mating site?
No, like you just meeting the dog and you choose which dog you want to meet.
That sounds like a lot of people are going to get kidnapped.
Why?
Didn't your parents ever tell you if a man ever offers you candy or that they lost their dog, say no? You want to meet strangers on the internet because of a dog.
People literally get into strangers' cars and pay them.
Uber, that's different. It's a business.
People still get kidnapped.
But this is a dating site. This is even sketchier.
No,
you want a site
sketchy.
where you can meet people because of their dogs. So you guys are going to meet up. You're going to pet his dog. The implications here are already a little weird. You
know what? There's a site, there's an app where you get paid to walk people's dogs.
Yeah. What's it called? I heard about it.
No idea.
I had a friend that was doing it.
I know somebody who went to a house to walk the dog, and I don't know who she contacted, but they said that they didn't have the dog. And...
they lied about it?
Yeah, I guess.
They were catfishing their fucking dog?
I don't know, but I guess they didn't have the dog, and my friend texted her friend, and she's like, they don't have the dog, and they're like, get out, leave, go to your car.
Wait, so they got there, and the person told them that, or they got to the door?
So
how did this happen?
So my friend ended up going to the house that owned the dog, and it turned out that they didn't have a dog, and she was confused. So she was texting somebody saying, they don't have the dog. She was also confused, and their friend said, get out of there. Weird. Go home. Do not stay there. That's so sketchy.
And you want a site where you can meet people for their dog.
I'm just saying that it could be...
If it worked.
Could spin this around and make people visit dogs.
So if people weren't fucked up and this did work for what it was, that would be a good thing. Yeah, I get what you mean.
People can make it work. I know.
I remember Cal State did those, pet your stress away.
That was a good idea.
I never did it, did you?
You never did it?
I never did it.
You had a free day to pet people's dogs.
I know. Well, okay, so what's funny is... it's one of those things where you have access to something, you don't do it.
Yeah.
And I was like that. When I was living on campus, I never went to the student union. All that stuff. I did what I had to do. I was always in my dorm. I did stuff in my dorm. But now that I'm gone, I want to be immersed in that. Mm-hmm. I want to go back and I want to do all these things. That's why I tell people, because I was a college advisor right after I graduated, I tell them hey, your tuition is paying for everything here. Use it. If you think you need some counseling, use it. If you want to use the gym, use it. It's paying for everything. It's like living in California. You're here, but a lot of the times you're not going to go do the things that people literally travel to come here for. So we live 20, 30 minutes away from the mountains, and when people associate us with the beach and surfing, mm-hmm. but a lot of us don't. I know people right here in San Bernardino that have never gone to the beach. What? I work with kids. It's different. They only have 6 years under their belt. Okay. But not all of us have gone to the beach. Mm-hmm. I think from an outsider's perspective, if you're not from SoCal, you think a lot of us live down the street from a beach. Yeah. But we don't. There's a lot of driving here. A lot of driving. Yeah, if you don't have a car here, I don't have a car. Yeah, I'm stuck. It sucks. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos where people move to California and they move to LA because they're expecting this really glamorous life. Hollywood. And I'm like, bro, LA is not like New York City, where New York City is so condensed and you can walk everywhere and there's so many things to do. LA, for people who don't know what LA is there's certain nice parts and then everything else is kind of trashy. So you can't walk around to get to all these places. You need a car. And if you move there, expect to be disappointed. LA really is over-romanticized. Mm-hmm. It really is. I grew up in LA. I was born in LA. You were? I was born in LA. So for me, I wasn't born in downtown in Hollywood is what people think of. Beverly Hills. That's not LA to me. Mm-mm. I grew up in South Central, which is the number streets. And I grew up on 45th Street. And I think of that as LA. Very tight streets where two cars cannot fit at the same time. You cannot find parking. When I was growing up, we moved when I was 7. My sister was a baby. But we could not play in the front yard. Even if it was gated, we couldn't play in front because it was just really dangerous. To me, that's LA.
Yeah.
But then, like, people think Hollywood and downtown LA.
Living by the beach.
Yeah, all these hipster restaurants and stuff. It's not that.
Like, I'm pretty sure you can't swim, like, or you're not, like, advised to swim in, like, Santa Monica because the water's green or they have trash in it or something.
These beaches are gross as fuck.
Yeah, it is.
When you you told me not too long ago during our little commercial break that you don't really swim.
No, I kind of don't.
So when you go to the beach,
I don't go in the water.
okay. So not even like a little bit in the water.
I mean, I'll put my feet in, like I'll walk in, but like I won't swim.
Not past the knee.
No.
I'm assuming the hip. Okay, what's gross in my opinion is when you go in the water. When you're at the beach, whether it be Laguna or Santa Monica or whatever, when you walk in and there's seaweed that is getting stuck at your foot.
Yeah.
And it just feels like these grass and plants, and you're just stuck to the knee.
It's like slimy
and
gross.
It's gross.
Yeah. There's some beaches where there's tar all over the beaches because of the oil rigs.
Do you know which beaches?
There's a beach called like the 1,000-Step Beach. It's supposed to be
that
like
one.
Yeah,
isn't that one? What?
Yeah, I've been to it, and like literally, my feet were covered in tar.
That's gross.
Yeah.
Should they even let people on that beach at that point? Is that a
one day
hazard?
someone's gonna complain about it because they died or something about it.
Oh my gosh!
Like nothing ever happens. There are never restrictions unless somebody dies. So until someone is overexposed or ingests it for whatever reason.
One's died. But did you die?
Basically. It's nasty. Like, people don't realize that, these over glamorized locations are kind of gross and are overly expensive. I think the only nice beach that I really enjoy going to is Huntington Beach.
That one's not even a great one. But that one's typically empty because there's not a lot around there. Mm-mm. That's the one with the bonfire pits, I think.
Yeah, they have Newport? Volleyball courts, and there's a mall across.
Because Newport and Huntington are close. Mm-hmm. Which one's the one with the bonfire pits?
I'm pretty sure that's Huntington.
Yeah, I like that one for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's nicer than other places, but I'm pretty sure San Diego is probably nicer.
Yeah, San Diego's nice.
Yeah.
It's a lot cooler over there too.
Have you ever realized that, or really thought about it, that the water is freezing cold?
Yes.
People go swimming in this freezing cold ass water.
I know. I don't remember the last 3 times I went to the beach. It's not just cold; it's cold where it hurts. You see how Savage's Unscripted is just so unpredictable. What's funny is we were wanting a girl on the show because we can talk about relationships and stuff like that. We have now talked about that. So, there's no casual way to just get into this, but okay. If someone were getting into a long committed relationship, what main word of advice would you give them? Because I think when you walk into a relationship, people just think it's easy. And it isn't.
No.
What is your main word of advice? It could be anything.
Know who you are.
Know who you
before entering a relationship, because you have to have your own passions and your own individuality. So that way, if things were to not work out, you still have things that are going to make you happy, because that person, their job isn't to make you happy forever. You have to be happy on your own. They're
not there to complete you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to be your own individual. And I think that's the biggest thing that I can ever say to somebody is learn how to be your own individual. Have your own pair of friends, have your own hobbies, have your own interests. Know how to be alone, because you don't know what's going to happen. And
that's what's tough, I think. Because I think a lot of people think, and because things are over romanticized in movies.
Oh, yeah. For
relationships.
Sure. I blame TV for my high school experience.
So, I think a lot of people, when they go into a relationship, they think you're giving yourself to this person. Mm-hmm. You're giving your all to this person, but it's not all entirely that.
No. It bugs me that TV and films, they're someone, they're in a relationship and then they break up and literally like 2 days later they meet someone new and like they're super hot and romantic or whatever. Yeah. I'm like, that's not real. That's not true.
Or you're going to meet that one person, you're going to look them in the eyes and things are going to change. They've solved your... No, it's not like that.
No, it's not. Like, I blame TV for like my exceptionally high expectations when in reality these things don't happen.
I thought you were going to say sexually.
I mean, I could say sexually, but...
That's true, too. Everything is just over-exaggerated.
It is.
Yeah.
You know what's super exaggerated?
What?
Pornhub.
How so?
Like these stories. They're like, oh, I'm a realtor. Let me show you around.
Well, Beatrice, if you ever went to any of these stories thinking they are real...
No.
Beatrice...
I know that they're not real, but like literally, like it makes it so frustrating because like I did not think that these were real.
That's not what realtors do. He didn't wash his hands.
No, it's just like the acts in themselves, they're so exaggerated, and like the acts themselves are super exaggerated, and they kind of twist what pleasure is supposed to look like and what you expect it to be like, but it's not. Like,
really, yeah.
If you, like, probably most people don't know this, but 70% of women cannot come vaginally. Mm-hmm. Only 30% can.
And most people, your first time's not going to be...
No, it's not. Your first time is not.
Awkward.
It's awkward. It can be weird. It's not usually good your first time.
It's just not going to happen the way you see it in these videos.
It's not. And I think that just gives another illusion of what you think something is supposed to be like, and it's not.
But also, it's just one of those things where it's entertainment. They're not going to show the real... Come on, if they showed all of that, it's like, do I want to see the pain and these, like, I don't want to see that.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Fun fact, I'm not offended. I will not be offended if you say no, but are you caught up with our podcast?
No.
Okay. Did you listen to the Pornhub episode? Pornhub Cleans Up?
That was the one that I was going to listen to, but I haven't had the time to.
Okay, so that one we talk about. So what was happening at the time is, so Pornhub is very active when it comes to charity work. And what they were doing is the whole recycling issue and all this trash and stuff, like ending up on beaches and stuff. They released one video. It was called The World's Dirtiest Video or something like that. And what they did was, for every view, they were going to donate money towards this Ocean Polymers, this nonprofit that cleans up beaches. And so the point of this porn video, I didn't watch it, but I read about it in this article, and they were saying that, so it was this couple having sex on a beach, but there's like trash and just a bunch of stuff that shouldn't be on a beach, obscuring your vision of what's going on. So you can hear them having sex, but you can't see it. But there's people cleaning up. And the point of it is to show, like, this isn't how beaches should be.
Yeah.
And they've done other stuff where for every view for videos, they every 100 views a while ago, they were planting trees in forests. They were actually doing this. So in this episode, Al and I talked. That was the last episode where Al was here. Actually, we were talking about Pornhub's donations and their charitable side, because they're seen as just porn.
Yeah.
And if, morally speaking and ethically speaking, people see porn as this very negative thing.
They do.
Yeah. It's one of those things where people are ashamed of talking about it. Nobody is going to tell you, unless you're absolutely close to them, that they watch porn. So because of that, it's just negatively viewed. But they do positive things.
Okay. Yes. And I want to branch off of that.
Okay, go ahead.
Literally, like, I always think about this because sex is such a positive thing. It's exercise. It can be stress-free. It makes you feel good. It makes somebody else feel good. But, like, when you really think about it, people don't talk about it. And it's something so positive. And some people almost want to make it taboo.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be, because literally, like, a miracle happens. People are literally made because of sex. And, like, I think about today's, issues with gun violence.
Yeah.
And how we're so desensitized to it. And how we literally see it in films and TV, and we listen to it in music, and it's always talked about. And you see it in the news, and no one really, yes, it's an issue, but no one really thinks twice about it. But the moment people talk about sex, you're like, oh, you shouldn't be talking about it. It's so inappropriate. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's sex. Everybody does it. It's so natural. People literally are born because of the sexual act. And how are you gonna make people hush about it when it's something so positive and it makes people feel good? And I think that more people should talk about it, because literally when you start talking about sex, other people are gonna join in, and definitely their ears are gonna stand up and definitely gonna talk about it.
Yeah. When you hear like coworkers talking about it, that's when you know, like, okay, I can joke with these people. Yeah, but I think it's one of those things where what they're thinking is, well, if we talk about sex, younger people are going to hear about sex. We're going to have teenage pregnancies. That's what it is. But what's funny is, so they want to push that away.
Yeah.
We can't talk about sex. We can't show sex. We shouldn't show sex. But gun violence, nothing is done with guns. We're still going to show it on TV. We're still going to sell guns. We're still going to have gun paraphernalia. So that logic, to me, that implies like gun violence is okay. Yeah. By that logic. If having sex young or when you're unmarried is bad, but they're pushing it away, like, why don't you do that with gun violence?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I saw a meme. I guess it was not, no, it was not a meme. It was, I guess it was supposed to be like a feminist act, quote, something. But they were saying that, I guess it's about people who are pro-life.
Okay.
And how they're saying that it's illegal for a woman to abort. And somebody said, well, if it's illegal for a woman to abort, then it should be illegal for a man to leave that woman. Why doesn't she get a choice, but the man does? Like, if you're a part of it, you don't get to leave either. And it sucks that has to be an issue of discussion, but it's true.
This is a tough conversation, but do you want to talk about this?
I can.
Okay. Me too. I'm the same way. I'm not the person that, if someone says something I don't agree with, I'm going to get offended. But I work with kids, so you know that. And I was telling you, a lot of my kids are assholes. But it's one of those things where people don't really think about that. If a kid is born and raised unwanted, I think that's going to be even greater punishment to that kid. Oh my gosh,
for sure. Like, there used to be this serial killer podcast that I used to listen to. And it got so bad, like, because they would talk about how these people grew up. And it was so bad. Like, I could not listen to it anymore, because it really hits you. And a lot of these people, like, they were abused their entire lives. And, like, if you have the option, if you generally don't want something, why should anybody else have a decision on something like that? Something so major that's going to affect the rest of your life. Nobody should have that kind of power over you, of your individual. Like, that's absurd. Sorry.
No, I agree. Yeah, a lot of these conversations and these hard topics. I don't understand those people that get overly offended. And I know people, like, I started deleting people on my social media if they cannot argue or converse on politics. There are some people that they get so offended and they start attacking you.
Yeah.
That's not what politics is. You're talking about an issue. You're not attacking each other. There was this girl, I didn't even like her, but my friend was like friends with her. So by association, I talked to her too. And I have no problem with Republicans, but she was just constantly just insulting people on her social media. And she was saying the most absurd things. And I remember one day, like, she posted something about, if you believe in climate change or global warming, you're one of the stupidest people I've ever met in my life. And there's no science to back it. She started saying stuff like this where she was basically offending, and most of her friends were liberals, but she's constantly offending them. It got to a point where it was so negative. I was like, I don't even talk to you as a person. I don't know why I have you on social media. Delete.
Yeah.
But some people can't argue or debate these serious topics. And that's what you should be able to do. You should be able to converse it like this.
I think when you have to debate about something like that, you genuinely have to explore the other side to really know what your stance is, because how else are you gonna know? Like, this is probably maybe a little too off topic, but like, if you think of racism.
Yeah.
A lot of these people who are racist towards Black people, they've only been taught that one way. And I remember there was a man, he was a Black man, who would give hugs to racists. And he asked one, he's like, "Why do you hate me?" And the guy said, "I don't know." Well,
it's gotta be a reason.
Yeah. And he was so perplexed by his question that he honestly didn't know how to answer it. And like, I don't know I wish I knew the name of this guy, but he's converted a lot of, this sounds weird, he's converted racist, but like, he's helped people with those racist ideas to really see what they're doing and realizing that they're not seeing this idea as a whole. Like, you're looking at someone, and I don't know how to continue this.
And that's the tough part. You know, like, well, I'm not a racist, but these people are raised, and that's normal for them. They're not raised thinking, "Oh, I'm a racist." You know, like, I'm choosing to be a racist. Yeah. No, like, they don't know they're a racist.
Yeah.
It's just however they act, and however they act to certain people, that's just how it is. You know, consciously, they don't know they're racist. Yeah. I'm not trying to defend them, but...
The best class that I ever took in college was a race and racism class.
You're the first person I know to ever say that.
Really?
Was that the GE?
Yeah, it's an upper division course. It was the best class that I ever took because my professor, she was an ex-cop and she's Black. So she had so much experience and she had done so much research on the ideas of racism. And the class itself had pretty diverse reviews on how she taught her class. And for whatever reason, this is a little ironic, but there was a white girl in my class who said that she felt victimized by our professor. And she's like, "Why do you feel that way when everything that has ever been negatively done has been towards us?" And, you know, the girl was trying to argue, and, you know, the professor put her in her place, and she's like, "That's not what's happening." And like, literally everybody in the class was just clapping and snapping. Like, this girl has no idea what she's talking about.
Yeah.
Like, how do you say something like that you're being victimized, but nothing's happening to you? But I can kind of see her side, because I think the way that she took it was that she was offending, maybe she felt like the professor was offending all white people. Maybe that's why she felt that way, but it was an intense class. It really was. It made you realize that people do racist things without really knowing it.
Yeah, it's unconscious. Yeah.
Like appropriation. People don't really know what appropriation is and that they're doing it.
Most of our listeners probably don't know what it is. Wanna share the definition?
In simple terms, I'll use an example. So like Halloween is coming up and people are thinking of using, you know, costumes. You cannot dress up as a Mexican. You cannot dress up as Pocahontas. You cannot wear like braids that African Americans wear. That is not okay. That is appropriation, because you're using somebody's history and culture as a fad, as a trend, and it shouldn't be.
This episode is brought to you by the word appropriation. Are you gonna dress up for Halloween this year?
I don't know. I don't want to spend money. I don't want to spend $60 on a piece of fabric that I'm gonna wear once.
I am in the same boat because I work with kids and we want to dress up for them, but we're at a point where we're paying bills. We're not going to celebrate Halloween. We're just there to work. We're going to be there uncomfortable in this costume for so many hours.
You should put on a t-shirt, a white t-shirt, and just put 401 error.
These kids aren't going to understand that. They've seen it, but they don't know what it is. I was telling my mom today, a simple costume that I was considering is Waldo.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
just,
that's easy.
You know, red and white t-shirt, jeans, and beanie. Yeah.
He'll be really warm. It's still really warm.
He wears a long sleeve, but I was thinking of just wearing a t-shirt.
Okay.
Yeah, but I probably won't dress up. I have a Spider-Man costume, but I don't want to wear a Spider-Man costume for all
You
those
wear
hours.
that costume a lot.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember. You wear it a lot.
Yeah, the year I met Beatrice is the year I got that Spider-Man costume. And Spider-Man's one of my favorite superheroes. And I remember that year. I'm just that person where I'm like, I'm not just going to wear it once. And I remember there were... I remember once. So that year when I met you, I was living with some other people. And I think we were hanging out with Kyle and them. You probably weren't there. But I was wearing my Spider-Man costume for some reason. I think they dared me to wear it. So I was like, oh, fuck it. Am I losing? So I was wearing a Spider-Man costume. And I got back to my apartment after. I was like buzzed or something. And no, I was drunk. But my roommates were there. And none of them drank. But they wanted to have fun with someone that was drunk. So, you okay? What's wrong?
I spilled it.
Okay. Yeah, so I came home in this Spider-Man costume. And I was, slightly drunk. And I had a crush on the girl that lived right next door to us. I forgot her name. And one of my roommates like one of the other girls in that same dorm. And so they were like, hey, Hector, you should see what she's up to. Invite her to game night. And I was like, you know what? We're young. Might as well do that. I probably won't be around tomorrow. You never know. So drunk Hector was very philosophical Hector. So I got up in my Spider-Man costume. It was early September. It wasn't even October.
Still hot.
Yeah.
It's 100 degrees outside.
Yeah, so I go over to their dorm and she answers the door. The girl I had a crush on. So I knock and she answers it. And she kind of giggles, but she's not trying to be awkward. So she sees me in the Spider-Man costume early September. And I was like, hey, so I'm your neighbor. We're having a game night right now. I know it's late, but would you girls like to come over? And she's like, you know what, we're studying. I'm like, you know what, I understand. We're all students. I understand the hardships of this and just what it feels like. I was telling her all this. And I was like, we're going to have a game week next week. Would you like to come over? And she's like, yeah, I'm totally down for that. I'm still in my Spider-Man costume, obviously drunk, but I'm acting like I'm not. And she's like, all right, thank you. And I was like, you look really pretty tonight. Have a good night. But yeah, so I wore that Spider-Man costume a lot.
When was the last time you actually wore it?
The last time I actually wore it, no, it's been a while. It's been years. That's all I know.
I dare you to go put it on right
now. I don't have it right now. What? That's for sure.
You don't have it?
I didn't bring it to the studio, Beatrice.
What a disappointment.
It was a last minute move. I didn't bring it. The last time I wore it, though, was when we were in UV, University Village, when I lived right above you. That's the last time I wore it, that Halloween. Yeah.
And you call yourself a Spider-Man.
Hey, I'm on break.
Still disappointed.
So you were saying about keeping on to your individualism when you're in a relationship, and I really like that. I think that's something people they tend to lose their self-identity when they're in a relationship.
I can admit that I did that. I really did. I don't know. You don't... Like, how are you supposed to act in a relationship? Like, there's no rule book. There's no guide. Like, how do you know? And I didn't know what I was doing, and I knew that I was putting friends aside.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how... I just didn't know how to work it. And it definitely affected my relationship, and it didn't work out well, but that only teaches you what you should be doing, what you have in front of you. And everything's a lesson. All you can do is learn from it.
And that's what's tough. There's no rule book. You can see some relationships that there's certain parts of it that aren't working, but they can be a great couple. Nothing in any relationship is going to be perfect. You want to know a fun fact? I'm not about to talk about it too much in depth right now. I'll talk about it later, off the air. But that last relationship that I got out of, that we were going on 3 years. We broke up last year Halloween. Really? So it's almost going to be a year this upcoming week. This upcoming Thursday. Yeah. The same thing. We were together for almost 3 years. And it was, for us, it was just one of those things where, and I want the listeners to hear this too. There's a difference between being in love and being happy.
Yeah.
And I think happiness matters. You can be in love with a shitty person. You can be in love and be angry or depressed. And that was me. I was in a relationship where I didn't feel happy. I think my friends noticed that because Edward, Edward, when I would talk to him, I talked to him a lot. We talk like on a regular basis. I would never talk about my girlfriend. Never bring her up. And it was just one of those things where I wanted to put that aside, and I should have seen that as a sign. But I loved her, but I wasn't happy. And one day I just realized that, and I realized I had to move on from that chapter. And that was last year on Halloween Day. Relationships are tough. Talk about something else. Yeah. I can't believe you gave this beer a 7 out of 10, Beatrice. I just hope that you give it a 7.
All beer tastes the same. Oh, but I do want to try Guinness, though. I've never tried Guinness.
Wait, I was considering getting Guinness.
Why didn't you say anything?
I didn't know you hadn't gotten Guinness before.
I've heard that it's super bitter, but people tend to like it.
It's a pretty bold drink. It's a bit darker than most. One of my favorite drinks is called God damn, what's it called? I haven't had it in a while. I don't know. So what they do is they mix Blue Moon and Guinness together. I'm pretty sure the Blue Moon goes first and the Guinness after. But you put it together in such a way that the color doesn't mix. They're different textures. That sounds gross to you. I think it's cool and aesthetic. So you're looking at this glass, and the bottom part is like a lighter beer, and the top part's like this darker beer. I think it's cool. It's really good. And what's funny is I don't like Blue Moon, but when you drink this together, the flavors kind of change a little. They infuse, but the colors don't.
My concern is, why doesn't it blend?
Hey,
like why doesn't that concern you?
Don't question art, okay? Enjoy it, Beatrice. That's
art is supposed to be your drink.
Hey, you know what? You haven't had it, so you can't, don't knock it till you try it. But again, this is good.
Where is their factory where you can actually go in and taste it?
I don't know.
I could have sworn that... No, because do you know who Conan O'Brien is?
I love Conan O'Brien.
Okay, he literally does that. He goes into the factory and he does a whole tour and then he tastes it. Sriracha does the same thing. There's a sriracha factory in California. I'm pretty sure it's in California. You can go in and you can taste it and maybe get a free bottle. I don't know.
I just had sriracha for the first time a few months ago.
You should walk out right now. What is wrong with you?
Who are you to tell me that? Okay, the listeners don't know this. So, Beatrice just said she's never had a Guinness. That's whatever to me. She has never watched Pulp Fiction. There was something else you haven't done either. There was a few other things. And you're judging me for not having sriracha?
Okay, everybody has had sriracha. Okay, sriracha's not a 21 only kind of drink.
Everyone has watched Pulp Fiction.
Okay. Do you really think that the new, Generation Z has seen Pulp Fiction?
Do you think the new Generation Z have all tried sriracha?
Yes!
Where?
At a Chinese food place!
Assuming they all like Chinese food? I love Chinese food. How come I've never had sriracha? I love Chinese food. I've never had sriracha.
You're doing it
I didn't know I was doing it wrong.
Someone should have told you this a lot earlier.
The first time I had it wasn't even with Chinese food. I had it with poke. You've
What's
never...
wrong with you?
Have you ever had poke?
Yes, I've had poke.
Okay.
I say pokey.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
I say poke because it's Pokemon. That's how it's supposed to be pronounced. It's a Hawaiian food. It's Hawaiian
Is
cuisine.
it?
Poke is a Hawaiian cuisine.
Idea.
What's interesting is the first time I had it, I was never a big fan of raw fishes. I love seafood and fish. And the first time I had poke, I had it with Angel, and I had it, and I was like, I understand why people like this, and it's healthier, but I don't like it. I prefer the cooked fishes. And just this last summer, I had poke, and I fell in love with it. And probably since the month of July, I probably had it at least 20 times.
Dang.
I had it this week.
You should probably get a mercury test or something. That's not good.
Hey, you know what?
I don't know why this reminded me of this, but it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I went to Hawaii, and for people who've never been to Hawaii, there's chickens everywhere. Chickens just roam the island. And I remember I was eating at a restaurant, and I was eating fried chicken, but it wasn't Popeye's fried chicken. It was a different style. And there's chickens around us, and a little piece falls. I was like, the chicken will eat it. And I looked back, and I was like, no, you're eating your brother!
It's cannibalism.
Oh my god, I felt so bad.
Have you seen The Social Network?
No, it's
There's a scene where I think someone had a chicken and they fed the chicken. And I'm pretty sure they got in trouble. I haven't seen it in a while, but they got in trouble for forced cannibalism.
Are you serious?
So you were hoping this chicken would eat chicken?
Okay, because like my food fell. I was like, oh, something will eat it. Like when I'm at home and something falls, like my dog eats it.
If a piece of your thumb falls off, hey, Elias, you can help yourself.
I mean, don't let it go to waste.
Enjoy it while it's fresh. It's raw.
Oh my god.
Where did this podcast go?
Oh my god, we're cannibals.
I'm not.
You turned Elias into a cannibal.
Maybe he already was. What if he is? You know what's funny is cannibalism is one of those things that you know is a thing, but you don't think about, and you probably don't regularly think about. But how would you feel if someone told you at some point in your life, guaranteed, someone you have met personally was a cannibal?
What would I think?
Yeah, just the fact that someone at some point... Like, what if I told you now, I'm guaranteeing that at some point in your life you did meet a cannibal you're really close to?
I would not feel comfortable at all. No.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever seen Criminal Minds?
I have, yeah.
Okay. Do you remember that episode where this guy, he was maybe like in a mental institution and they finally released him because I guess he was on good behavior and he turned 18 or something. Or 21, I don't know. And they release him, and guess what? There's a murder spree. And
coincidence. Who did it?
He killed someone, and he ends up making like chili for like volunteers, and there's people in the chili. Like, that's disgusting. Like, it creeps me out. So if I had a friend who was a cannibal, I'd be like, I don't trust you. You're gonna eat me. What
if you meet a guy? Absolutely interesting, great guy. But you find out... Okay, no, he was a cannibal. Which is still a big thing. But it's still a big thing. He's the newly reformed cannibal.
It depends on what the reason was.
He went to Cannibals Anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
He's 2 years.
It's like, how did he get access to this meat?
Yeah, exactly. Like, still, there's no way around this.
Like, is it fresh? Did he buy it off like some kind of market?
Black market?
Yeah, that's scary.
The black market.
Like, do you watch videos about that? I watch videos about that.
I love stuff like that. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Have you seen videos where they do the unboxings?
No.
You've never seen that?
I don't think so.
Where people buy like surprise boxes off the dark web, and they get them, and like they're full of weird, creepy shit. And there's this one guy where there's 2 videos and they're a year apart. And in the first video, there's like weird stuff about this little girl. And then a year later, somebody sends him a box. Like, there's no return address. So they personally know where he lives. And it's more stuff about that little girl. And it turned out that this little girl was literally murdered. And it was literally her stuff. And they had to return all this stuff that they got from the box to the police.
There's this thing, I'm not changing the subject, is on this, but, nerd culture's blown up. It's a big thing now, but there's, like, loot boxes where you pay a subscription, they send you, like, comics and shit, just random stuff. When you say one of those mystery boxes, is that what you're talking about? Like,
you don't subscribe to these boxes, like, you...
Oh, I hope you don't subscribe to them.
But you literally go on the dark web, but you don't know what you're getting until you get it. Like, this, I saw another one
That's disturbing.
This guy, he opened his box, and it turned out what he got was a piranha. He got a piranha in his box. Yeah.
I was thinking like fingers and stuff, but piranha. No. Oh, that is random then.
No, well, one that was really disturbing. I don't remember what YouTuber it was, but they opened a box, and they said that it smelled really bad, and there was a letter inside, and they're like, I hope you have as much fun with this as I did.
That's disturbing.
And when they opened the box, it was a box full of used panties.
And a YouTuber showed this?
Yeah. And I don't remember what he did with it, but like, that kind of stuff, that's scary.
There's got to be a certain point where a lot of this stuff is probably, hopefully, scripted.
I don't know. Like, how do you fake something like that? Like, how would you think of something like that? The one that I told you where they were getting stuff from a murder about this little girl. Yeah. You got real human teeth in that box, and
oh my gosh,
it wasn't teeth that just fell out because the roots were still on the tooth. Like, where do you get real human teeth? Like,
isn't teeth scary. One of the things that you can't test and check and get dental records from? Isn't that one of the things they mainly look for in cases?
Well, depending on like the dental office, because certain offices, like, they'll only keep records for so long.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's crazy.
Like, these videos make you like they give you chills.
We have this girl at my job at the school, and she's a 3rd grader. And so her mom started working with us, and she was telling us that she likes that her daughter is very mature and smart for her age, but in 3rd grade, she's into murder mysteries and stuff like that. Like, she's really intrigued by it. Mm-hmm. And I've talked to this girl, like, she's really mature for her age. And so the mom is, she works with me, and she was telling me that a while ago they were driving and there was like a crime scene, the cops and stuff, and the crime tape and all that stuff. And that's pretty disturbing if you think about it. There's a crime scene, probably a dead person. And this 3rd grader, not in a absolutely creepy and concerning way, but she was like, "Oh, Mom, do you think there's a dead body?" It's weird in the idea that it's coming from a kid, but she probably doesn't mean like that. She's not going to be a killer, but it's just like that is interesting.
I don't think I would let my kid
watch those sort of things.
Yeah, like, okay, so I watched a lot of horror paranormal shows when I was little.
Yeah,
and my parents always told me to not watch them, but as a kid, like, you don't always listen to your parents, so I always watched them, and like, I'm still, like, scarred by some of these shows that I've watched, and I believe in the paranormal, even though I've never experienced anything paranormal, and I hope I don't, but I'm a believer because of these things that I watched as a child.
I'm waiting to experience one of those things.
Are you serious?
I am intrigued by those things.
But you look forward to the experience. I want to avoid it at all costs.
I have a friend, he lives in Colton, so he's not even that far. Mm-hmm. And the first time I ever went to his house, he told us, like, we like doing like ghost stories and stuff. And you can tell when someone's kidding. You can tell when someone's being serious by the way they talk and their demeanor. But so we were having bonfire, and he was telling us about how they've experienced things in their house. Mm-hmm. And I met him when he was a freshman in college. He's like probably a year younger than you. And he said he moved there when he was a senior in high school, so not that long before. And he was telling us that everyone in his family has seen a little girl. He hasn't, but they did it, and they saw like a little girl, and he felt a presence, but they've seen a little girl. And I think they've seen someone with a top hat. And he shared these stories, and most people will be scared by this. A lot of people listening might be a little scared by this. You want to know my reaction? When can I sleep over?
Oh my god, why?
So not long after he told us about this was when he started drinking a little later. He's younger than us. But I remember one day we were drinking at his house. And we were waiting for that. Oh, you guys drank a lot. You guys can sleep over. I was waiting for that.
Oh my gosh.
And he told us, and me and my friend drove me. And we were like, all right, let's continue drinking. I don't know my friend, but I wanted to experience this. Not in a creepy way. I don't have problems. But, so we slept. I don't know why we changed rooms. I didn't choose to do this, but we were put in his sister's room. I think his sister's room was bigger. So it was him, two of my friends, and myself. And the sister's room is where they've seen the little girl. Mm. So they're like, oh, you guys, we gotta be in my sister's room. But in my head, I'm like,
oh my god.
I'm gonna find this little girl. At the time, I was getting really into manga. Mm-hmm. And I was reading Naruto on my phone. And I have insomnia. So I stood up to like 4 a.m. And I was fucking disappointed because I saw nothing. And I heard nothing. And I remember always thinking that. I stepped over his house like 3 times and never experienced a thing. But his whole family, like, they've shared stories and they're actually really disturbing. He shared a story once. This didn't happen too long ago. Am I scaring you or not? I can stop. You want me to stop?
Yes! Stop!
Beatrice is literally cringing right now. This was going to be a really interesting story.
No, you can share it with somebody else.
Are you
not
sure?
Me. Yes. Like, literally, the paranormal, like, it freaks me out. Like, if someone were to bring out a Ouija board right now and be like, hey, let's play, I'm gonna be like, fuck you, I'm out. No.
The Ouija boards crosses the line for me. I'm not gonna do that, but I like talking about this stuff.
No, like, it creeps me out so bad.
Okay, we'll stop.
No, wait, I want to share something.
Okay, I want to share a worse story.
No, but like, I believe it because people definitely have their own experiences about it. Yeah. And like, people just don't make that stuff up. Like, why would they make it up? But my ex also has two different friends who both talk about how their houses are haunted. And I've been to one of the guys' house, and they were telling us how they have a security camera in their house and it watches their backyard, and that you can literally see a toy ball, because he has a little sister. You can see the ball moving by itself all around the backyard. And it's not I just got chills. Oh my
Wait, did you see it though?
No, I refuse to. But it's not the first time that he shares that story. I've heard that story for like 3 years. And every time he tells me, it creeps me out. And every time I'm at his house, I'm like, I don't want to be alone.
Man, I want to go there, have a live podcast there.
God, no.
Okay, well, Beatrice is cringing and having chills to the point where she just backed up into a bag of chips.
My legs.
My leg. Okay, we'll talk about something else. But we're about to start capping off in a bit. We're going an hour and a half, but that's with the restroom break.
Okay.
We're probably about an hour and 15 minutes. But how was your first podcast experience?
I feel kind of pressured, but at the same time I don't.
Pressured?
Yeah, because, like, you know that you have to talk about something. Like, you don't want to just, like, be silent for forever.
Before we go on, she wanted to be on. I got consent. You wanted to be here.
This is true.
Yeah, okay. But how was it, though?
It's good. Mm-hmm. You know, I wish there was an easier way to know what the audience thinks and to comment, because that would be really interesting. I think that's the tough part, because we're going to record this. We're talking about this. Mm-hmm. We have no filter. Absolutely no filter. But then I'm going to edit later, and then I'm going to put it on, and then people are going to hear it. It's like... How do you know?
Yeah.
Like, is there any way where you can do, like, a poll or some kind of, like, questionnaire and be like, what do you want to hear? We want
to start doing surveys as soon as we have more people. Because right now, if we did a survey, we might get, like, 5 answers. Maybe less. Mm-hmm. But right now we have an established audience almost near non-50. That's just people that have subscribed. That's pretty good. So maybe someone has it and they listen. Mm-hmm. But I'm surprised with where we're going with this. And I'm happy. I remember when we went for ramen that day and I hadn't seen you in a long time. Mm-hmm. I didn't know you listened to podcasts because you've seen, I market the podcast on my social media. Mm-hmm. But I don't ask people who's listening to this. I just put it up there. You guys listen to it. Mm-hmm. And so we went for ramen that one day. And you started telling me, like, hey, I've been listening to your podcast. And that completely threw me off.
I was listening to it. And I took a picture of what it looked like on Spotify. And I put it on my Instagram story. So that way that I can send it out to other people that I know. And someone's like, are you watching Pornhub? And I was like, what are you talking about?
Well, I've never seen this.
Well, here's the thing. 2 people, they're like, why are you watching porn? I was like, what are you talking about?
You removed it?
Yeah, I took it down. I was like, because I had no idea what they were talking about. And they're like, and I looked at it, at the photo that I had posted on my story, and it literally, like, it was your Pornhub episode. I was like, that's it? Like, that's what you're complaining about?
Well, you could have said, listen to this podcast. But what's funny about that is, there's some younger coworkers at my job. Mm-hmm. So I told them about the podcast, but I don't want to tell the older ones about it. And one of the girls asked me, what's your name of your podcast? So I told her, she started listening. She had it on her phone. And one of the other girls, she's like 21 years old. Mm-hmm. And the first episode she saw was Pornhub Cleans Up. And she reads it. And she was like, well, now I know what you talk about. And I was like, that's such a bad one to see first, just the name. And I didn't explain what it was about, like I explained to you earlier. But, yeah.
That makes sense now. The title and how you explained it. I was like, oh.
So, I'm the one that names the podcast?
Yeah.
Al has no part in that. And I like the idea that a name, you're marketing. Mm-hmm. You know? And so when I named that episode, I wanted it to be funny and ironic. But I thought, because sex sells.
Yeah.
So I wanted to test it out. And that was one of our first podcasts where we got listeners the fastest. But that slowed down eventually. I think our fastest one was Hitler's Bodyguard. I don't know if you've heard that one. It's one of the newer ones. Pre-Elias. Elias was in 3 episodes. It was a trilogy.
You should have a special name for that one. Name
it differently? People can know.
I don't know why that reminded me of Lord of the Rings. Have you seen Lord of the Rings?
Fuck yeah.
Okay, I haven't. Well, I bought the book.
This is the 3rd or 4th time today where Beatrice makes a pop culture reference, and I ask her, "You've seen that?" And she's like, "No."
Have you seen it?
Your face lit up when you mentioned Lord of the Rings.
Okay, because the closest thing that I've seen to Lord of the Rings is the Futurama version of it.
Oh, Jesus.
That's what I've seen.
And now there's this episode. It's gonna be, if I have hope that this podcast blows up one day. It probably won't be thousands of listeners, but we are. I think we're gonna grow a little bit. Mm-hmm. You're gonna be the first female guest.
Yay!
How does that feel?
I feel great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And it wasn't that tough, right?
No. I could have talked about other things, but it's okay.
Because a week ago, when we went to Cracker Barrel, I was telling you, and I asked you to be my guest.
I said yes.
But you were very hesitant, and you were asking me a lot of questions.
I still said yes.
You were thinking about it.
No, I said yes.
You were thinking. It was a maybe yes.
No,
but you did sound
like, sure.
You sounded like you were being peer pressured.
I don't fall for peer pressure.
You seem like you would.
Are you kidding me?
I don't know.
One time I was at a frat party and I had a beer in my hand and there was a girl, she's like, "You have to finish it." I was like, "I don't want to." And she's like,
toss the beer.
No, I was like, "No." And I like dumped it right in front of her. I was like, "No."
Oh my.
And I left. I was upset. I was like, "Why are you telling me to drink when I don't want to?"
Yeah, I don't follow peer pressure either.
Especially with, no.
When people say like, "Oh, don't be a bitch drinking," I'm like, now I don't want to drink it because this is annoying now. Like,
yeah.
We're 24, 25. Like,
why are you falling for that?
Yeah, like...
why are you pressuring someone to do that?
This is annoying. Like, do I have to get drunk so you can feel comfortable about your drunken state?
Yeah.
Pathetic. Now I'm judging people. I like that. Yeah, but any words of advice or anything that you want to share with our listeners before we cap off for now, Beatrice?
Know who you are. Don't let people change you.
Amen. Yeah, and so our guest today, Beatrice.
B.
Is that what you prefer?
Yeah.
I'm the one that calls you Beatrice.
You are the only one.
That's good. I like that. But again, you guys, this is another episode of Savages Unscripted, and I am here with B, and we hope you guys have a good week. Goodbye. Where's the stop?